You know what? At the very least, when times are tough, there's men in plastic suits that punch things. Uh, so Kamen Rider J.
Kamen Rider J. So yeah, I have a sense that perhaps the tone of Levi's delivery just now might tell me a little bit about his feelings on the subject matter. We'll get to that, but yes, this is week 2 of our Keita Amemiya month or Amemiya Keita, however you want it. Um, we're going to be talking about films from a tokusatsu film director. Last week we talked about Kamen Rider Zo or Zeto, which I actually have like a strong affinity for. I was introduced to it at a fairly early age, and just from bell to bell, I find it to be a very polished, very succinct piece of tokusatsu artistry. Just like every trick in the book in terms of effects work, soundtrack is immaculate. It's amazing, and the imagery. Holy shit, the imagery is incredible. I think it's a wonderful little like 50-minute adventure film that really succinctly presents the Kamen Rider concept and delivers on all fronts. Kamen Rider J is a follow up that came out the following year from the same director. Uh, very similar in some respects, but very different in many. Um, this was also released similar to Kamen Rider Zo as part of the superhero fair. So the idea was instead of a feature length film, like a 90-minute feature or something, they would show like a Super Sentai, that is Power Rangers, if you're not familiar, and a Kamen Rider film in like a double feature, sometimes even a triple feature. And because of the double and triple feature nature of that presentation, these movies would be short, be like 45 to 50 minutes long. So this was the follow up to Kamen Rider Zo. It originated as a sequel to Zo, but it became something else entirely. It became something unique. Uh, and also, I think the key difference between the two of them is that the apparently the target audience between these two projects differed. Zoe was for 9 to 10-year-olds, I believe, and Jay was for 6 to 7-year-olds, and it feels it, very much so. And Levi's face tells me quite a lot right now, so I'm gonna toss it over to you, Levi. I don't know how you want to start, like what approach you want to take to this one, but I can tell just from your expression and your tone that you have feelings. So let's hear some of them.
Well, so here's the thing. I'm as we talked about in the last episode, I'm pretty new to this genre. My connection to this sort of style of filmmaking is mostly through things like Godzilla and Gamera. I missed the boat on Power Rangers and a lot of those other connections. So I'm coming into this as a total newcomer who has only encountered things in bits and pieces. Zoe really struck me where even if it is maybe a little too quick, if it's like if its pace is a little too sped up and I would have liked a little more breathing room, it is still affecting. It is still affecting, and the imagery is beautiful and the editing and the way everything is set up is still very rock solid. Like, yeah, really my only complaint is I kinda wish it was a little longer, which is yeah, I mean, a heck of a complaint to have. That's like, I wish I had more time with a film, which is I mean, as far as the filmmaker is concerned, that's a pretty good complaint to have. I wish I had more time with you. So stepping into this one as a sequel, I'm very glad you said something about the demographic shifting because you can feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it a lot because what came to mind for me is if Zoe is Batman the Animated Series, then this is the Super Friends.
That's an interesting comparison. But I see it.
Because it's like, okay, well, both of them are superheroes, and both of them have, like, some kinda, like it's a lot of the same DNA and a lot of the same pieces, but the thing is that it's just you can tell it's a little quicker, it's a little cheaper, it's a little lighter, and while as a fan of comic books and as a fan of DC and everything, I love the Super Friends so much. I love it because I grew up with it and I have so many warm feelings attached to it. And because I love these characters, I love the different iterations. It's the issue is that if I put on Super Friends for somebody who is not initiated, if I put on Super Friends for the gal I'm dating, she'd be like, "Levi, what are we doing? Why are we here?" Um, and there is a part of me that I felt like a very cynical adult watching Kamen Rider J because it's something that I am being introduced to, and it is like, this is just not it's not quite in the same demographic, and I just kind of found myself rolling my eyes way more often than I was buying into the fun.
Yeah, that's often been my feelings on Jay. Like, if I'm perfectly honest, my opinion of Jay has softened over the years. I was more dismissive of it when I was a bit younger, I guess. But the main thing here to remember is that I have legitimate nostalgia for Zoe. I do not have that with Jay, which is
Mm.
probably why it's less digestible, I guess. Um, I think from an effects standpoint, Jay is remarkable. Like, they really went balls out with this one. And for a children's presentation, that makes sense. Like, if you want to wow the kids, lights with sound, jiggle them keys. It'll get the job done. But you're absolutely right. I think Zoe is actually affecting in its storytelling, and also is just more. It actually has storytelling to go with its visual elements. Like, this director, Keita Amemiya, he has a very strong visual sense, and some of the nonverbal moments of his movies tend to be the better portions of it, like the introduction of Doras when he descends into the junkyard, and it's like a good 1 to 2 minute sequence of no dialogue, just observing a character and coming to understand that character just through visual cues and body language and presentation and stuff like that. Same goes kind of for like the introduction of Zoe. Like, he's introduced and then we have all these flashes of images that carry some sort of emotional weight to them. Whereas this one, it's more lights with sound. It's more just pure spectacle. And then on top of that, this one has a narrator, um, which feels like it's meant for a child's brain to basically just like either for a child's brain or it's an editing tool to expedite things. Where it's just like, we cannot be bothered to go into detail on this. We can't slow down at all. We got to go. This is all brakes, no gas. Um, this narrator's going to tell you everything you need to know in the first 2 minutes. We got to hit the pavement and start rolling. Um, in that sense, it feels very much like a Toei production. So Toei is the studio that uh, has ownership over Kamen Rider essentially and makes all the Kamen Rider and Super Sentai stuff. This narrator, I believe, worked on a lot of anime that they produced. And as such, it like tonally and texturally, it very much feels like you just dropped into one of those 40-minute Dragon Ball Z movies or something, where it's just like, none of these characters existed before we made this 40-minute movie. We're going to tell you all you need to know about them. We're going to say some sort of ominous turn of phrase or something that says a battle is coming, and then the battle happens, and then credits. It's lightning quick, and it talks down to you a little bit from time to time, which is as an adult, it's kind of obnoxious. It is eye rolling, but from a child's perspective, I could see this working pretty well. It does need to be said. One of the big like reveals or like most noteworthy things that happens in this movie and no other Kamen Rider property is when Kamen Rider J gets big. Um, that
I was
I
wondering
actually was
about that.
that does not happen in Kamen Rider. That is not a thing. He is the one rider that gets big. I
Yeah,
was
I'm like, oh, it's Jet Jaguar.
yeah. Yeah, I should put the Jet Jaguar theme over this episode. It's a lovely music. When I was pulling images for like the Photoshop stuff that I do for the podcast, I found a poster for this movie, and my understanding of Japanese is like I have a pretty good vocabulary, but my sentence structure and grammar is horrendous. Converting your brain to a different sentence structure is very difficult. But there's a lot of vocabulary that I do understand. I can read all the basic alphabets. The kanji is where it gets difficult, but there's something called furigana that basically takes the more complex characters and gives you like the phonetics of it. So if it's presented in that way, I can read it. Anyway, these posters are for children, so they have that, which means I can read it because I'm a child when it comes to my understanding of the Japanese language. I noticed on one of the posters they explicitly advertised Kamen Rider gets big. I was like, yeah, this is for kids. It's like a one-time miracle. Kamen Rider gets big. And I was like, yep, okay. I think I know who this was advertised at. People who would go, I clapped when Kamen Rider got big. But yeah, very
Yeah,
much.
there's yeah.
Yeah. So very much the demographic shift is palpable. Like you very much feel it. And overall, like even though I said my opinion of this one has softened over the years, I think it's always going to be not a distant second, but it's always going to be secondary to Zoe in my mind. Like it has so many merits of its own. They just don't hit in the right way for me, which is unfortunate. Because like I said, from an effects standpoint, from a production design standpoint, there's some holy shit stuff in here. It just doesn't. It just doesn't land as well. That's all. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. So I suppose we should jump into the plot. We are told by the narrator that I wrote weather patterns make rider necessary. Um, so so the weather is doing weird stuff, and they're like, and that's why we need a hero because of the weather. And everyone's like, oh, I'm like, okay. So like it's what is layered on what is like poured over this film is an environmental message of like, we're causing all these weather problems, and they're leveling this forest. There's scenes of like of our two leads, like the little girl is making all of these graves saying like all the animals are dead and all the bugs are dead and they've killed everything. So we have like this very heavy eco-friendly message that requires a smog Tim Curry to make palpable. um
Stupid sexy
I
smog. It's like-
it's it's like, listen, man, I need your toxic love. It's
Ah.
they laughed at me at the university. It, but so we're explained that we need the rider. We need a hero because of all of the problems with the environment. Okay. And then we're introduced to our villains. Trevor, would you like to tell the audience about the Fog Mother?
The Fog Mother. By the way, according to Levi's summary of our opening presentation for the film, like, is Leonardo DiCaprio under the Kamen Rider mask? he's the climate change guy after all. I mean, I would watch Leonardo DiCaprio in Kamen Rider J. Fuck yeah, especially mid '90s Leo, where he was always doing angry face. I don't know, like Quick and the Dead era Leo or something. That'd be
Oh
funny.
yeah.
Uh, so the Fog Mother. We later learn that Fog Mother's been rocking around the cosmos since time immemorial. We get an amazing flashback involving dinosaurs and giant bugs eating dinosaurs. I kind of love that. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But the Fog Mother is kind of like a HR Giger nightmare. It's a very similar to your Tim Curry sexy smog monster. It's a very blunt, very heavy-handed, symbolic um, representation of like industry and pollution, and just consumption. Um, so it has a voice, it has a consciousness. But it is biomechanical, and it's essentially a mobile fortress that has a woman's voice. It's the Fog Mother, after all. You see, it has somewhat of a face, and its objective is it has these egg sacs somewhere deep within its bowels or whatever, that it intends to birth its children, as it calls them, and the children are to sweep across the land and eat everything. So it's this force of consumption, but as
Yeah.
represented by a mobile biomechanical fortress slash factory.
So if the Technodrome and the Xenomorph Queen were powered by Shodan from System Shock,
Oh,
that
wow, you
that
really
is
put it
that
together.
is your image.
Yes.
That is your mental image of this thing.
Well done, sir. Like, excellent combination of elements there. But yeah, that is the Fog Mother, and within the Fog Mother doubles as as you said, Technodrome. It doubles as its own fortress, which is kinda cool, 'cause it's a conscious being apparently, but it's also a mobile fortress like a Technodrome, and it has 3 humanoid representatives, like 3.
Yeah.
This is a common thing. This is a very common recurring element of Kamen Rider, is there's the great leader, is like the chief antagonist of any given Kamen Rider show or series or whatever. Um, and then there are generals who serve as like human or monstrous like appendages of it, that act out its will across the land. A lot of times, it's a really common thing in Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. A lot of times, they have conflicting agendas, which is a
Hmm.
fun little bit where it's like there's the great leader thing that does not have a physical presence in the story until like the very final act, and then the generals who all act accordingly, but then throughout the season, more often than not, like they come into conflict with each other and sometimes off each other. We don't really have that here. Apparently, there were plans to expand the story a bit, and there's like a manga adaptation of this where uh, the 3 generals in this are Agito, he's the lizard man. We have Zu, the bee woman or wasp woman, and Garai, who is referred to as a prince, so seemingly is like higher on the totem pole. There was supposed to be a subplot where Zu and Garai were like banging. So
Uh,
there's supposed to be some sort of emotional connection there. It's teased, but they don't really get
yeah.
into it.
Y-
Apparently the director said kids won't care about that. It's like we'll just have one shot where she moans his name before she dies, and that they'll get enough.
Yeah, it's funny because so it's explained that so the 3 of them are standing there and they are praying. They are praying to make to for a ritual, and they require a sacrifice for reasons, ill-explained reasons. So they finish their prayer and they're like, we need a sacrifice. We need to find somebody to do this. Again, I don't know why the sacrifice is required. That's not very well explained. Here's the thing, though, is that immediately as they're standing there in the circle praying, they have a spinning hoop around them. And I'm like, it's the Kryptonian prison from Donner's Superman. And I'm
Mhm.
like, crap, it is just Ursa. It's Ursa and Zod again.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. There's a hula hoop encircling them. It seems like an explicit reference.
And we have the brains, we have the brawn, and we have the feminine touch. It's like, okay, it's Ursa not inside.
No joke. Like,
It
straight up, that's what we're doing here. In fact,
and they're yeah.
Agito, I think, is, mute too. Like, I don't think he says a line of di he has, like, 1 line. You could have easily cut that.
Yeah, he says that creature is supposed to be dead or
Yeah,
something along
he
those
has, like,
lines.
1 offhand line that if you nix that, it would be just non.
Yeah. It yeah, and they're wearing these big long white smocks and you're like,
It's
it's
inverted,
kind of
black,
yeah,
white.
it's like it looks like the Kryptonian robes a little bit, like that Jor-El's wearing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Um I was just cracked up by that. I'm like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah. And also, like, I mentioned this last week too, Keita Amemiya is he he and seemingly a lot of Japanese creators, that very unafraid of wearing their influences on their sleeve. Um, there are some uh, egregious, I don't even think you'd call them references in this one, that are balls out insane, honestly. Um, but this one with the Richard Donner Superman with the hula hoop and the 3 villains, who very cleanly fit into those silhouettes. There's that. We get what feels like an Empire Strikes Back or a Return of the Jedi kind of nod. What with a character wielding a lightsaber with a particular lighting scheme that is very conveniently placed in a room. Um, but the I may as well just like let the cat out of the bag. The score, Levi. Feelings on the score, because I'm curious if this was as obvious to you as it probably is to most people.
It it's weird listening to it because it has what struck me with it is that it sounds like a Star Trek score in some ways. Like, and it feels like a Star Trek episode in some ways, in places with how it is with how it's scored and how the way things are set up. It's just not nearly as big as Zoe sounds.
Yeah.
What are we thinking as far as what it is directly taking from?
So Star Trek, actually, that's almost hitting the nail on the head. So it does have a very James Horner vibe at times. There's a particular use of brass that is it's a recurring thing across his entire discography. Um, I believe he did some work on one of the Star Trek films. Um, there's this like resounding brass that he does that it flares up in Aliens quite often as well. And basically, whenever the bad guys are up to no good in this movie, you get something like that that feels like it's like the rallying sound in Aliens or something. The, the most egregious, like straight up kind of just like ripping off that happens in this movie is Blade Runner. The Vangelis, the theme that the ending credits theme of
No,
Blade
you're
Runner,
absolutely right. Yeah.
that thrumming, it's like, whoa.
What
Did everybody hear that?
you want to know what I thought of when I heard that?
What's that?
It's Knight Rider.
Oh. I mean, Knight Rider, I think of as being more funky.
Well, well, be it like it kind of has that same driving shot with Kit
Yeah.
he's riding the
I mean, he's on a
motorcycle. I'm
motorcycle.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see that too. But yeah, to me, it's like it's Blade Runner all the way, and I'm like, holy shit, you didn't just like make that a part of the score, you like made that like the centerpiece of the score. It's like that's like how much time did you have? Because it's the same composer as Zoe, and I really like him. Eiji Kawamura is the name of the fella. I have a couple of his CDs, and his work on Kamen Rider Black and RX and that Guyver image album that I mentioned, all money, chef's kiss. I would do something with my hands or snap or something if I could, but I don't have the dexterity. This score is like vastly inferior if you ask me to Zoe. Like Zoe, like the score is like a huge part of its appeal. Like it's so big. Like I don't know like in terms of like orchestra or whatever, like how many people he was working with or how many instruments, but it just has like a grandness to it that lends so much weight to that movie. And this one, it's like it's nice music, but it feels like it feels like it wasn't composed like moment to moment. It feels like it was made as like a suite where it's just like I'll make a piece like a 5-minute piece of music for whenever the bad guys are doing stuff. And I'll make a 3-minute piece for whenever there's heroic stuff going on. And then the director and the editor can get together and, Frankenstein it up and figure it out. Whereas like Zoe feels much more intentional. Like it feels like
Yeah.
there's a lot of like distinct cues and tonalities that are meant to match like specific moments and scenes in the movie.
Yeah, it feels like 20 minutes of music was written just by kind of looking at the script,
Yeah.
and then they cut it together in the editing room. It's not nearly as distinct. It's not nearly as impactful. It and that's the thing is I feel that way about this whole production is like it's just not nearly as distinct because I feel like you could show me snapshots of Zoe and I'd be like either A l- if I didn't specifically recognize I'd be like, "Ooh, what is that?"
Mhm.
Like what's going on with that? Or I'm like, "Oh, that's Kamen Rider Zoe."
Mhm.
With this one, I'm like, I really do feel like I could confuse it with just about anything else. It just the shot to shot and the way things are lit and the way the camera works and even with sometimes the effects work is wonderful and it's so much fun to watch. And then there are other times where you're like, "Really? You sure about that?" Where I never got that feeling once with Zoe. Never did I say to myself, that effect is hurting my immersion of this. Maybe the goofy grasshopper puppet, but that's only on screen for like a second. Yeah,
It's funny you mentioned the grasshopper puppet because we have another similar puppet in this one that I want to say you give a big exhale, but I say somebody probably saw that grasshopper puppet in that in Zoe and was like, I think we can do better than that because I
yeah.
want to say the puppet here is maybe articulation wise it's probably comparable honestly, but there's a certain texture to it and a presentation to it that it seems like it has a little bit more love put into it. I kind of liked it, except for when it starts doing the look here, listen business.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
I was thinking I specifically wrote down Navi coded grasshopper.
yeah, no joke. Barry, Navi, same difference. Look here, listen, shut up. So yeah, we get introduced to our hero protagonist, and I actually have to look up his name because I don't know if it's ever said. He is referred to as
Bro.
Ni-chan. Bruh. His name is Bruh. In
Bruh.
fact, we could just call him Bruh if you'd like,
Bruh.
Levi. His
I
name is Koji, apparently, played by Yuta Mochizuki, who was the Red Ranger in Zyuranger, the
oh,
Japanese Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So he had a long tenure at Toei. Apparently, he had a pretty decent martial arts background to the point that he was doing a lot of his own stunt work in this movie and others. That's how he got the gig because he certainly wasn't here for his acting ability. Like director was like, "We need a guy that we can throw around." It's like, yeah, let's go with that guy. Worked out, I'd say. I mean, he fills a role. It's not much of a character. It's just like we need conventionally attractive Japanese man needs to be kind of tall, not that tall, really. Just Do you have a face? Can you move? Okay, good, cool. We'll move on. So he is a photographer, and he's apparently taking nature shots or something. We later learn that he's photographing like the pollution and like the dead animals and stuff. It's kind of morbid. Um, and there is a young girl hanging out with him at a campsite at night named Kana, who this was apparently like her first acting gig or something. She also went on to have a decent tenure in the Japanese film industry. Did a lot of J horror apparently. Um,
Yeah.
later on, though, obviously. She brings him coffee, and then there's the ground starts shaking, and there's a whoa! That's a spaceship up in the sky. It just happens to fly over them at night, and the baddies are triumvirate of baddies. They have some sort of Jason and the Argonauts esque viewing glass thing that they peer down to the surface of the earth with, and they say, "Hey, that's a little girl. She would do well as a sacrifice." And so they look at him and they're like, "Ah, he's no good." And then they look at her and they're like, "Ooh, I could kill the shit out of her."
I I don't get it. Sure, okay. I mean, for the sake of the plot, they take the little girl.
I guess
Um,
it's probably supposed to, be scary to children, where it's like they're targeting you. It's not like a problem for other people. It's like this is a problem for you and your contemporaries. Might be a thing to do with like the environmentalism thing too, where it's like this is also your problem kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, apparently at one point in the scripting process they were thinking about making her be like an alien refugee or something, where it's like
Hmm.
she has like history with Fogmother where like Fogmother like ate her planet or something and she's been hiding out on Earth. Too complicated. Director said no. Like,
Yeah.
fuck it, let's get going.
Yeah, you think I have time for that? I have to explain the fog mother first.
Well, yeah, and apparently he was very busy around this time. Like he was, I think, doing work on Judanger. Um, he also did Zoe the previous year, and also did a short movie that I don't think I ever sent to you, Levi. But I don't know if you'd be curious to see it or not. But they made an Ultraman versus Kamen Rider like 10-minute movie. It's
That sounds
it's just
fun.
in a yeah, it's just a 10-minute short effect spectacle. Also directed by Keita Amemiya. So he did that in between both of these Kamen Rider films. A very busy guy. So he's like, no moon princess bullshit. It's like she's just a normal little girl. She needs to die. Let's move on. So the
Yeah.
baddies they descend to Earth and they walk on water. Very similar, I believe, to Dick Donner Superman, if memory serves.
Yeah, it
Hmm.
is. We shall conquer this Houston. It
Yeah, how do you say that in Japanese?
Yeah.
But
How do you say Houston in Japan?
yeah, actually, I'm not positive because if you said it like phonetically, it would be like I think he says Hoston, be like
Yeah.
Hosuton,
Yeah.
Hosuton. But
It's
yeah, they take off at super speed and they have a nifty optical effect that accompanies it. Very similar to the Jedi, super speed for one moment in the entirety of the franchise because they never do this again. But yeah, they had to get out of that frame. Like Lucas said, "Oh, they got to move fast. You see, they got to go fast. It's just like
well,
they gotta get chili dogs and go fast."
I mean the Jedi Force jump is only used once.
They do that more often. Like Luke does it out of
Yeah, he jumps
the
out of the
carbonite
pit.
pit, and he
Yeah.
goes up into the ceiling because he apparently he like underestimated his own jumping ability. It's like you could have just jumped out. It's like nope, but jumped right up into the ceiling fixtures, and then like
Yeah.
all throughout like Phantom Menace or whatever, they're bebopping and scatting all over the place in that
Yeah.
movie.
The
They brought their wire crew.
they're skittering and scammering. Just
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah, just all over the place. That sums up Phantom Menace pretty well. It's like, there's just bebopping and scatting all over the platforms. Just some swords involved. Uh, so yeah, Kana, the little girl, she gets taken by a zoo. So that's actually kind of a neat shot for like a kid movie where she swoops in and just like grabs her like a fucking Dracula or something. But I just like the way she like flies off into the dark. And I don't even think there's an effect. She just like gets out of the light and just disappears into the dark. So it's like there's no splashy optical or anything. It's just like whoosh, just gone. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
But then our writer, who is not yet a writer, uh, bruh, he bruh gets grabbed, bruh gets grabbed by Agito, um, and he gets impaled through the stomach and dropped off a cliff. Things people don't generally survive. So this is actually a tradition of Kamen Rider mythology and lore. Is in most cases the protagonist dies at the outset of the story and is revived as a cyborg generally against their will. In this case, nobody could have predicted how this goes down, but Levi's laughing. I'm not sure why.
I the next several minutes, because as Trevor says, there's a smoldering, smoking hole in the center of Bruh as he falls off the cliff and he lands on the rocks. And up climbs the grasshopper puppet, which does look better. It is a better looking grasshopper puppet. I Yes, it is. However, I'm like, as soon as it starts speaking, I'm like, oh no. Oh, we're doing this.
How much of this do I have to put up with?
Plenty. And
Plenty.
so then Bruh is lying on a healing bed that's glowing. And Trevor, I'm not sure if you've ever seen these where it's like they have like animals doing things where it's like these sketches where it's like, oh man, it's a dog using a computer. But what they just have is like prop paws that are on the end of a straight stick and they just slap it again. So he's being interacted with by like eight or nine grasshopper legs that are just kind of slapping on him, reviving him. And he gets slapped and tapped back to life, and he wakes up to meet two hooded spirits of the earth who live underground, and they say like, we have revived you using the power of the earth. And this grasshopper is I wrote this down. The grasshopper is named Barry and is the keeper of J Power. And it will give you it's the keeper of J Power.
Uh-huh.
I and because the grasshopper Barry, the talking grasshopper, is the keeper of J Power, and we as the spirits of the earth will imbue you with this. And Bruh asks a very reasonable question, which is, hey guys, why don't you go out there with the power of J and bury the talking grasshopper and save the world? And they reveal that they are rooted to the ground because they must live underground, you see, because they cannot stand the light of the sun on the surface. So they are the emissaries of the earth spirit that is being harmed by this construction site. Um, and now they are going to send out Barry, the talking grasshopper, the harnesser of the power of J, as their emissary, along with Bruh, to go and defeat. I don't
Pollution?
even know pollution because they don't mention Fogmother. They don't mention that. Oh, Fogmother's approaching, and we need a champion. They're just like pollution. It's like, okay, he's gonna go punch a construction crew. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, maybe that's what they want. It's like, go fix it,
Yeah,
Jay. Go bust some heads.
yeah. So
That's what J power is taking a tire iron to people's kneecaps and punching their lights out.
Yeah, so they send him back to the surface with Barry, and Barry won't shut up. Barry is just like what's strange is that now we effectively have two narrators. Is
Yes.
that the narrator okay, this is how you fix this problem.
Mm.
Barry is our narrator from the beginning, so
Mm.
that when Barry appears, you're like, "Oh, that's who was speaking." Like, Barry has been watching this and has an understanding of the situation. It's how you kinda, it doesn't fix that, but it
Mm.
makes it more cohesive at least.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me tell you of his saga.
yeah, exactly, and it is only I n l listen, if Barry was played by Mako, I would
Ooh.
all would be forgiven.
I mean, Barry would have balls. Like Barry would have that like, "Nah,"
Yeah.
like Jay. It wouldn't be Jay. It would be Jay.
Jay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
could get beyond that.
but yeah, so they are sent out, and now Bruh has the power of J and will be referred to as J for the remainder of the film, except for his sister, who refers to him as Bruh.
Yeah, so bruh or Jay. But by the way, the reason why we keep calling him bruh is because she, in the very Japanese way, refers to him as Oni-chan. So like doesn't necessarily mean that they're of the same family, but she says it so many freaking times in this movie. So bruh works just as well. So bruh or Jay. Also, apparently it's up for debate what the J in Kamen Rider J actually refers to. That's not a good thing from a creative standpoint. Like usually somebody has an
I
answer to that, but I've heard multiple conflicting accounts of it where it's like one, there was like something to do with the Olympics where there was some form of team sport team for the Japanese Olympic team that had a J in the name, and maybe it was a reference to that because it was timely or something. Um, I think it's a GQ can sometimes be a word for earth. I've heard that. To me, that makes the most sense. It's like earth, nature. That makes a lot of sense to me. But then I've also heard reports saying that it stands for jumbo because he gets big. And I was like, I mean, that's stupid, but sure. So yeah, not as creatively focused as Zoe. I'll just leave it at that. But we have our hero now empowered. By the way, he got a nifty belt buckle out of the deal, which serves as
yeah.
his henshin device, his transformation device, which all common riders have typically. Uh, and because this is an all gas, no brakes production, uh, immediately he gets into some fighting. He got to go fight. So he goes out to face the Fog Mother, um, and he gets ambushed by Akito, who is driving a construction vehicle, just a big ass truck. Like it's not subtle. It's like this is the same thing that is causing the deforestation or whatever, and the villain is driving it and tries to run over a hero. And they very quickly transition into a creek bed or some fisticuffs, which starts off with the two of them in humanoid form, and Agito transforms into a lizardman. What did you think about the lizardman, Levi?
I wish it was better shot.
Yeah, it's kind of
It
haphazard in how it's presented.
yeah, it's just the problem is that the puppetry and the suit acting on it just don't quite work for me. Um, it feels a little too much like slap fighting.
Yeah.
It it's an issue across the entire production in my opinion. Outside of the final battle, against I mean, we've already spoiled it. When Jay gets big and fights Fogmother is about the only fight that I was like, "Oh, that's neat." Every other fight, the choreography feels like slap fighting. It
Mm.
it feels like both combatants were put in their makeup and put in their suits, and it was just like, yeah, there's a story from the set of Dune about the final knife fight, how it was just like not rehearsed, like at all. And it was just like David Lynch, just like, all right, do this, kill each other, do it.
All
All right,
right, Kyle, swing your knife.
all right, Coop, Coop, you have to kill Sting. Yeah. So it's like in
David
that.
Bowie is watching.
Yeah, so it's like that's kind of how it feels. Like it was just like, hey, so are we gonna coordinate? It's just go, go. Yeah, so the whole this fight, the only reason this fight feels exciting in any way is because the score and the edit.
Yeah, the choreography of it, I give some credit, due to there's clearly a lot of thought put into it, because they're doing wire gags, which basically that implies setup, um, where you can't just haphazardly just do wire gags. That requires intentionality, and some of that stuff I think is pretty neat. Like, there's the bit where uh, he bites him, like the lizardman bites him around the midsection, kind of like heaves him up off the ground. That was kind of cool. Like that shows like strength and also shows character. Where it's like he's a lizardman, he's evocative of an alligator. They even have like a bit where they're like rolling around, kind of like doing a gator roll on each other. That was kind of neat. The eye poke is a fun bit of, I don't know, common writerness. Like Kamen Rider has often been notorious for being, like, pretty violent by, like, children's television standards, like Kamen Rider Amazon, from the '70s, I believe, or maybe even the early '80s. Uh, I think his finishing move was to decapitate his opponent, and this was, like, on a weekly basis, there were decapitations. It's like, okay, for kids, you know? It's like Gamera, where it's like, if you ever seen, Gamera versus, I think it's Guiron, the guy with the knife head. You remember that one, Levi? There's that
Yeah,
bit where he's fighting Gyaos and he cuts off all of his limbs, and then I think he cuts off his head too, and it's like, gee, for kids. It's great. Um, but yeah, there's a lack of impact, that Zoe definitely has an edge over this one in where it's like every there's a like a desperation and just like a organic quality to the choreography in Zoe where it really does feel like it feels like a fight, whereas this one feels like a series of gags, basically. It's like watching like a wrestling match or something where it's like you can tell like, oh, we planned this whole thing out from like beat to beat. Like we didn't like work this out and like work the crowd while we were doing it. Like we came into this knowing like every spot we were gonna hit. So it's like as a series of gags, it's okay. It's pretty light is the thing. Like it doesn't have any real sense of like danger or anything like that to it. I do like that our lizardman gets his brains punched out though. That was pretty cool. It's like- I was kind
yeah,
of hoping he'd explode when he hit the water just for funsies, but they didn't do that. They just had him drop into the water and just kind of float there. It's like, I mean, that's kind of brutal, honestly. But yeah, he gets punched on top of the head and some green goop comes out. I was like, oh shit! Again for kids.
yeah. There was a part where Jay is backing up and we get kind of like almost like a POV cam or like right dirty on Agito's shoulder as he's
Yeah.
closing in. And I started laughing because Jay just starts posing wildly. It's like
If I pose hard enough, he'll leave me alone.
and it's like yeah, it's like trying to make yourself bigger to scare off a mountain lion. It's like
It reminds me of Hey
yeah,
Arnold,
it's
where there's the episode
ridiculous.
where he has to fight a bully. Arnold has to fight a bully, and he's terrified. He's like, I don't know what to do about this. He's way bigger than me. He's way scarier. And then he comes up with a plan to just go batshit crazy on him. And then that's the conclusion of the fight is they don't even fight because the bully's like, whoa, you're crazy. I don't want to catch any of that crazy. So we're cool. I think actually he says, you want to join our club? Pretty great. Um, anyway,
Yeah.
so the baddies, they using the powers of telepathy that I didn't know that they had, they know that Agito has died, and Garai, who just by his stature alone, you can kind of tell he's like the big cheese among the three. He wants a piece of the rider of Bra, but Zoo instead is given the task. So B Lady's up next is essentially what the movie's telling us. And this is where we get that bit where Levi had mentioned Kana has built graves for all the animals that have died in this forested area. And we get a flashback of Jay photographing the pollution and dead animals in the area. Apparently, that's what he was like on assignment or something doing. And yeah, we have this very heavy-handed environmental messaging where she borderline looks directly into the camera and says, like, everything's dead. You killed them. You and your your six-pack plastic container things. You killed all those seagulls, you bastards.
I I will say that I'm like, it's probably irrational, and it probably doesn't actually. I do cut the rings on those to this day. I'm
I do
like
too.
I'm like,
I get you.
we should probably.
No, I read zoo books when I was a kid, so of course that stuck with me. It's just a thing that you do. I don't think twice about it. I don't know if it helps,
Yeah,
but I do it. It's like,
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. I'm stepping on roaches. Uh, so Barry, and I love that their name is Barry. It's like Barry and J. So it's Barry and Jay. Barry and Jay. Right off. Um,
Barry and Jay,
by the way,
saviors
yeah,
of
sure.
Earth.
Barry, by the way, is voiced by a woman who did the voice of a lot of Pokemon, apparently. Not surprised to learn
Hmm.
that. Um, so Jay rides into like a fog wall. It feels he's going into a Dark Souls boss fight, apparently. So uh, there's some jittery slow mo that happens here, which is one of my least favorite effects in film. I think it's hideous to look at. Where it's not slow motion. It's basically we've yanked frames out of the presentation, so it has like a stuttery quality to it. Even Peter Jackson has made use of this technique in his films. Apparently, filmmakers find utility in it. I think it just looks ugly, personally. But the presentation of this is very brief, but it feels like a Hong Kong film or like what Nightmare on Elm Street 4 or something where it's like there's these red ribbons in like a white room. It feels
Yeah.
very much like a Hong Kong film or something, like a Hong Kong ghost story of some sort. But there's these red ribbons running along this white room, and there's this jittery slow mo. So it's supposed to have like a dreamlike feel to it. And then a woman comes out and starts choking, bruh. And then very quickly she turns into a bee lady, and I kind of like the look of the bee lady. It's very Amemiya in its construction. Like it looks like one of his drawings, which is
Yeah.
what I'm here for. Honestly, that's why we're talking about him. His his design work is mostly what I like about him. So then we get the bee lady fight in a quarry because it's a Toei production, and every
Yes.
fucking fight ends up in a quarry. That's where the fighting happens.
We have access to this quarry and we're going to use it.
I still think of to this day um, Channel 101, or there was a show called Super Shooter on Channel 101, and it was a no budget 5-minute internet show. And basically, it was about a guy with a toy gun who would shoot people, and then his catchphrase was "Looks like you just got shot." Cut to theme song. um, there is this scene that my friend and I still quote to this day, where again, no budget. They're filming in a kitchen with it's a kitchen with cabinetry and counter space and everything, and there's a scene transition that happens right before it, but it's the chief of police and super shooter are having a meeting. It's like, Meet me at the quarry, super shooter. There's like a slide or something that transitions us. We're in the kitchen, and if you look closely, there are rocks laid out on the countertop in the kitchen. And the chief, the chief is wearing a fake mustache. He says, "Super shooter, thanks for meeting me here." And grabs a rock off the counter at the quarry. To this day, that's one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen.
Incredible.
It's incredible. Just it's like you just conveyed to me that the space we are in right now, this is supposed to be a quarry. You did not have access to a quarry. Thanks for meeting me here at the quarry. But we do have a quarry in this because again, it's a Toei production, and apparently this quarry is so famous that you can do photo shoots here where they set off explosions behind you in the quarry. And people take like engagement photos with colored explosions behind them in the Toei quarry.
I
I will
want
do that.
this.
I
I
want this
want
too.
this.
Levi, let's go to Japan and take some photos in the quarry.
Trevor, let's do it.
Yes.
Let's get that scheduled. As soon as you have a guaranteed paycheck again, let's get it in the books.
Fuck yes. I want this. I need this. Uh, so yeah, Bee Lady, Fight in the Quarry. Thoughts, feeling.
Um Here's one of my problems. Here's one of my problems with sort of the nature of the structure of this picture. Most of this movie is watching Bro get his ass kicked and like ragdolled and thrown off of things until he transforms into the rider. And you're like, this is the fourth time I've watched that happen, guys. It's not exciting anymore. It's not like come on. Come on, man. Um yeah, I mean it's a fine fight. I mean I like the use of the aerial stunts and everything. The Zoo Zoo or Zo or Zoo. Um Ursa
Yeah, Ursa. There you
is
go.
Ursa's able to fly, which is something that that Zod and Non can't in this picture. So it leads to a different type of stunt work. There's a really fun shot, like, and this was actually one of the few moments that I was like, okay, that's neat. Where after Bruh's thrown off a cliff for the second time in this picture, third time in this picture, um,
Maybe third because they went into
I
that
think it's
creek bed. I think he went the hard way into that creek bed.
yeah. So this is the third time he's been thrown off a cliff. He transforms, and his motorcycle is suddenly down there. I don't know. Um, and he spins around on the motorcycle, transforming the motorcycle into the grasshopper motorcycle.
It has a name. I don't know it.
It grasshopper motorcycle.
Sure.
Um, and there's a pretty neat shot, and the music swells as he's driving, and the fires like machine gun blast to either side as he's driving toward it, and the dirt is kicking up as each round hits around him. It looks neat.
Yeah.
It's the fight maybe goes a little like it's the longest fight in the picture, and it probably shouldn't be.
Yeah. It has the least variation in what happens because like Zoo's main trick is that she flies, and they make liberal use of that. It's just there's only so much one can do with that because like as soon as she gets knocked out of the air, which does happen, he launches himself off of an invisible ramp to punch her out of the air. And as soon as she's grounded, she's kind of worthless. Like she's kind of useless, honestly. She gets her ass kicked as soon as she's on the ground. Um, the one really impressive bit is one of those things that unfortunately like from a like an entertainment standpoint, from the standpoint of you or I watching the movie, it's probably less impactful and impressive as it was to actually capture live. Those crane sequences. There's that one really extended take where they're grappling with each other in midair, and they're the way the camera's positioned, they are deliberately showcasing the fact that this shit's dangerous. Like we are very high up, and there is nothing below them. Like if they fall, and that's it. Um, Apparently, like to film that live was like really genuinely harrowing and was a really big deal to the stunt team. But from like a filmmaking standpoint, it doesn't land the same way as if you were there watching it happen for real,
Well,
which is unfortunate.
the problem is, and somebody's it's a I'll bring up two quick examples. Somebody was talking about one of the issues with comic book superhero fights is everyone can fly and there's no impact when everyone can fly. There's no impact. I don't feel the hits because it's like there's nothing to hit against. There's no
Mm,
weight to it. Um and I'll bring up a personal thing. One of my problems with Kong Cross Godzilla, the newest picture,
yeah.
is we spend so much time in the weird inner earth, like in Jules Verne land, that we aren't there's no sense of scale. So I'm not watching giant apes, I'm just watching apes. I'm
Yes.
not watching giant monsters, I'm just watching monsters.
Monsters.
And by the time they actually do get to a city location where it's like, "Oh, they're giant," I'm already kinda checked out of the movie. And yeah, the problem is that doing a crane stunt like that, we now suffer from both problems. There's not as much impact because our performers are in the air and they're not hitting against anything. And two, we're in a rock quarry. So there's no real gauge of size and scope and distance. So it's in comparison to something like, say, Darkman with the helicopter chase where he's hanging from the crane hook. You're like,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, they're going really fast and they're really high up because you could see the streets below and all the cars and they're weaving in between stuff. And you're like, there's a sense of scale and danger and speed. Where with this, that is a very impressive effect that does not sell on screen for those two reasons.
Yeah, actually, like you put it together really well there. Because like Darkman, as you say, there's a lot of interaction that's happening in addition to being high up in the air. There's that bit where they're dipping him, and I think he even gets like not full on like hit by a car, but like he skims along the top of a car. And as you say, they're weaving in between trucks and stuff. And there's that bit where he's like running along the top of like a semi or something. It's like it gives it a sense of tangibility and it gives you a sense of scale and space, the geometry of the space. That this is just like they're in a void. So again, if you were there watching it be filmed, it would probably be unfortunately more impressive than it's presented in the film, which is unfortunate because I've heard that the stunt team was really proud of that. Um, but anyway, in the midst of the fighting, the Fog Mother, the Technodrome, rolls in, and Barry's like, "Yo, Technodrome's here. We better do something about it." And while he's distracted, Zoo shoots a spike through his arm. I was like, "Whoa, that's gnarly!" So he gets a long metal rod shot through his bicep, and then Zoo lashes out at him and carries him up into the air. He chops her midair. He's like, I don't give a fuck. It's like, I don't care how high up we are. You're eating this chop. He chops her in the throat, and they both fall into the Fog Mother. They fall like Unicron. They fall right through him, into her, and they fall inside the Fog Mother. He transforms back into Bruh, so he is no longer in his rider suit, and it it's a it's a common common thing where where like if you get hit hard enough, you dehenshin, you like untransform kind of like they do it in like Dragon Ball also, which by the way is also a Toei production. Where it's like if you get smacked hard enough, your concentration lapses or something, and you whatever powered up form you're in, you transition out of. Anyway, he's laying on the ground doing the Peter Griffin, and Zoo crawls up some stairs. She's not in good shape. Garai is there, and she like moans his name, as I said, and then she dies. And I like that the fog just kind of goes, just kind of
Yeah.
takes her. That's a
Yeah.
nifty effect. Like it's cheap and effective.
Yeah, and it makes it so the poor actress doesn't just have to lie there for the rest of the picture.
Yeah, get her out of here. Get her off the set.
Get her off the set and get this weird bee thing off of her head, please.
Yeah, the poor lady.
Yeah,
That looked heavy. That looked like it was hard to work with. I mean, which
yeah,
also might account for the stunt work too, where it's like if you're wearing a costume that you can't do shit in, it limits the, the complexity of the choreography.
yeah. So it is at this point that we are given an explanation of what the Fog Mother is, and we are essentially saying for the last since time in memoriam, the Fog Mother has wandered the stars, consuming, eating, taking, and the last time it was at the Earth was during dinosaur times. And let me tell you, there's yet another some more Harryhausen. There's like some stop motion dinosaurs. For a moment, you're like, oh hey, and then all of the dinosaurs turn into the goofiest hand puppets you've ever seen. Like we're talking. I'm Trevor. I'm not sure if you recall such a thing when the Disney picture Dinosaurs release, or was it Dreams, or was it DreamWorks?
I think it was
They
Disney.
released Yeah, so they released that picture and they had, like, those dinosaur hand puppets at, like, Burger King or something. That's
Yes.
kinda what it looks like.
I thought you were gonna bring up the Fred
So, yeah.
Savage, Dinosaurs VHS. Have you ever seen that, Levi?
I have not.
Okay, that was a thing that I grew up with. I don't know how widespread it is, but I think it starts off with, I think it starts off with a song by Sting. But it's a tape about dinosaurs, and I'm pretty sure Fred Savage is in it. Features a lot of claymation, not even stop motion, but straight up claymation. And it tells you dinosaur facts, and I watched the shit out of it.
That
Um,
sounds awesome.
it is awesome. I think it's just called Dinosaurs with an exclamation point. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I'll have to look it up for you. It's great. Anyway, yeah, these goofy ass dinosaur puppets. We got a PowerPoint about the Fog Mother eating the dinosaurs. Do you know what killed the dinosaurs? The Fog Mother. It wasn't the Ice Age, it was the Fog Mother. So Fog Mother ate the dinosaurs. Canonically, this is what happened. You see,
Yeah,
an alien space fortress came and ate the dinosaurs.
ate
Um,
all of them.
eh, yeah, ate them up. And she is eager now that she's returned to Earth uh, to eat. Like basically, she views the Earth as a smorgasbord. She's like, this will work. I'm happy with this. Like you humans look very tasty to me. Um, so, Bruh is, obviously horrified, and Garai pulls out a twirly stick with lights on it that he sticks in the ground and it starts twirling. I'll tell you that, and it compels somehow through its hypnotic twirling, Kana, the little girl, to sacrifice herself. So she walks from one end of the room to the other because we have exactly this one set, which, by the way, is quite a set.
It's a nice looking set.
I really like this set, but it's all we got. So she walks from one end to the other, where there is a cage. It looks like almost like a diving bell or something, which is very cool looking. Um,
Yeah.
and Garai, in the meantime, he starts beating on Bruh. Like, so they're both in like humanoid form. Nobody's wearing their costumes just yet. But he starts beating on him, and this is where Barry has their moment. So there's a little girl in danger. Our hero is tussling with a very large man. So Barry the grasshopper, decides to intercede. And Levi, you want to tell us what happens to Barry?
Barry has a truly heart-wrenching has a truly heart-wrenching scene, where here's I'm trying to think if the twirly stick has some kind of, like, folklore type connection.
I wouldn't be
Bec
surprised if there's, like, some sort of, like, Japanese folklore or something like that, because our director does have an affinity for mythology and fairy tales and things of that nature.
Yeah, because it feels folklory, like, it's too specific of a d it's not alien or tech enough of a solution for me to say, "Oh, this is a creation of a science fiction thing." It looks too specific of a symbol to me that I'm like, it feels like there's probably a connection there. But so Barry, seeing the situation, and guys, I would like to explain to you a little bit. Barry is like, a grasshopper puppet who is not communicating psychically. Barry has like a tiny little mouth and is like and is constantly and is just constantly yapping about things. And so it's just like Jay, and it opens its little mouth and it hits the mind control stick, and it explodes, and it releases the little girl from the it releases Kana
Yep.
Kana.
Yeah. Yeah.
It releases Kana from its thrall, and then Garai just swats it, and it has like the swatted bug look where its wings kind of go sideways like "Ah," and it lets out a few like kind of like strained gas like
For
and
kids.
Barry the talking grasshopper, holder of the J power, perishes there, and like this is I feel like this is supposed to be a moment, and it is given the beats of a moment, but there's nobody like cries out or anything. There's no like Jay doesn't even react to it. He's too busy. He's too busy having several cracked ribs from getting the crap kicked out of him by Garai. So so yeah, Barry goes down, and at this point there is Godzilla-esque destruction as the Fog Mother rolls out and starts shooting random buildings and stuff in the countryside, and there's all these explosions. And then does Garai transform first, or does Bruh?
I think Garai does I think he transforms first and then Jay follows it up, but it's basically simultaneous. But this is where the movie enters into the editing flow that Keita Amemiya seems to have a very good handle on. Oftentimes I object to this, honestly. Um, but that's mostly when you're dealing with like uh conflicts that are too similar. Like if you're having three different fist fights simultaneous to one another, I don't want to be flicking between three different fist fights because then I'm going to lose something from all of those fist fights. But if you're showing me three different things that are happening parallel to one another that are very distinct, it doesn't bother me so much. And in Zoe, we had the situation where Doras and Zoe are fighting each other, and we keep cutting to the child in the room and his father both trying to help in the fight and both encountering obstacles of their own. It has a really nice feel to it. You don't feel like you're losing anything by diverting your interest, your perspective from place to place. Especially because that Zoe and Doras fight gets such a lengthy intro section where it's like you get like a good solid 2 minutes of just the two of them fighting before the other elements start to get woven in. This one we have Fog Mother blowing shit up. We have Garai and Jay fighting each other, and then you have Kana uh, being attacked by little critters. And we're cutting between all three of these things, and I want to say they do all of it pretty well. The flow of it feels very nice. It feels very naturalistic. But yeah, first, when they transform, Garai transforms first, and his design is actually supposed to be an homage to an original Kamen Rider character named, wait for it, Ambassador Hell. They had names like that, you see. I actually have a visual aid that I'm gonna see if Restream can accommodate this, Levi.
Oh
So
boy.
this is yeah, I know, bells and whistles. Um, this is what Ambassador Hell was supposed to look like.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's the guy from the other special I saw.
Yeah, so I think, Kamen Rider World might be the one that Levi saw on the bootleg Blu-ray that I sent him, but that is essentially like an anniversary movie with all, like, the 1970s and 1980s riders in one movie, including all of their bad guys, including this handsome man here, who, by the
Looking
way, with the face paint, like, the lines of his face, Levi, looks kinda like Ian McKellen.
a little bit.
Ian
Yeah, he.
McKellen as Ambassador Hell.
Yeah. Listen, man. I mean, it can't be worse than being in Cats.
Oh, shit. He was in Cats?
Yes,
I did not know that.
he is.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember which character he is, but yeah, Tony, Tony award winning, Academy Award winning, knighted by the British Crown, Sir Ian McKellen licks his hand and says the line, meow meow. He doesn't meow, he says the words meow meow after
Does
licking his hand.
does he say it like Sir Ian, or does he say it like Ian? Like like, is it like meow meow? Or is it just meow meow?
No, no, it is a Sir Ian meow meow.
Meow meow.
And you're
Meow meow,
like,
Charles, meow meow. Everything that man says needs to be punctuated with Charles.
Charles.
Charles. We're the future, Charles, not them.
It
We're the
is
cats, Charles, not them.
it is funny to me when I think of Sir Ian McKellen and him talking at people. I don't think of Gandalf first. I think of Magneto.
So do I, but that shows where my interests lie, honestly. Is like I have a lot of friends around me who like Lord of the Rings are like, this is cinema. Like this is why I like movies. This is everything I love about movies. Me, I'm like, X-Men 2 is a pretty good
Yeah, I
movie.
believe me. The thing is that I think it's a credit to Peter Jackson and Ian McKellen and
Yeah.
everyone at Weta and the whole team is that yeah, that's Ian McKellen, but it is under so many layers of abstraction in my
Mm,
mind. And it's the beard and the hair and everything that when I think of Sir Ian McKellen, I think of the actor who is clean shaven.
yeah.
I do not think of Gandalf. Gandalf is kind of his own character. He is his own distinct visual design. So when I think of Ian McKellen, I think of Magneto because Magneto looks like Ian McKellen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like he is clean shaven. He's shorn, but we are
Yeah.
the ambassadors to hell, Charles, not them. So yeah, Garai
I can't stop all of them.
all these damn writers. But Garai, Garai transforms into Ambassador Hell form, and very interesting design motif because Ambassador Hell has kind of like a Egyptian slash Cobraman motif going, and the silhouette is very much there. But Garai has like a clockwork like uh, marionette or like a automaton kind of vibe to it. Like the close-ups of its face are explicitly metallic and have like a grandfather clocky kind of sound that play every time its eyes
Yeah.
blink and its mouth opens. That is a recurring element of Keita Amemiya's design works. He does seem to like metalwork and jewelry. A lot of the like accoutrement of like his characters in some of his later movies and projects like Garo from the 2000s, which persists to this day. I messaged Levi about that. should probably mention that Keita Amemiya actually made a film just last year, directed it, co-directed it actually. It's part of the Gato franchise, and it is confirmed for U.S. distribution very, very soon. So he's still plugging away. Apparently, has done nothing but Gato for like the past 15 fucking years, though. So it would be nice to see him do something else. But anyway, in Gato, a lot of the characters in that have bracelets, necklaces, lighters in particular. That there's a lot of attention to detail put into the design of them. So to have a character that has like a I don't know, like not even like a cybernetic quality to them, but just like feels like a antique machine of some sort merged with some sort of creature is a thing that he does. But um, Jay henshins, he transforms. He has his proper henshin. Again, just like Zoe, he's transformed multiple times up to this point, but this is the first and only time where we see him like do do the hand jive and the whole bit.
Man,
Um, he gets the splashiest fucking opticals you can imagine.
man.
They really went balls out with this.
It's not nearly as effective of a henshin.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, even the henshin isn't as effective.
yeah, Zoe is very again, it comes down to that emotional content, to quote Bruce Lee. In Zoe, when he finally does the proper henshin, it's immediately after having stepped in front of a laser beam on behalf of a child, and he just kind of like turns to the camera and does the simplest of hand motions. And it's a very quick, very clean transition, followed by some glamour shots. Very not quite as explicit as Joel Schumacher, but it's like here's the butt, here's the belt, here's the nips. It's kind of like that, but tastefully done. Um, Whereas this one, it's like camera's like pulled all the way back. He's standing on an elevated platform. He does a whole bunch of hand jive, and then laser beams, the light show, and then he turns into Jay, and then he does this, and then he
He
sweeps his
does
hand
the he
across.
does the he does the J.
Yeah, apparently they didn't tell the suit actor that they were gonna rotoscope the J on top of his hand. And so when he saw the movie, it's like, yeah, that was kind of nifty. Like I didn't realize, like I thought you're just making me do a weird hand move, and they're like, no, no, we're gonna draw a J. You see, your hand made a J, so we're gonna draw a big red J on it every frame, and it's probably gonna take somebody a month of their life. They're probably gonna develop an ulcer to put that J on the screen. It's totally necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not it takes too long. There's a
Yeah.
beat because the thing is the camera pulls back, nobody says anything. The camera pulls back, and then the camera reaches where it's supposed to be on the track, and we sit there for another 3 seconds before he says Henshin.
Mm.
And I'm like, "Dude, that was like 6 seconds of our time where nothing was happening and they didn't do anything, and it wasn't done in a stylistic enough manner to make me believe that it's just like, oh yeah, this is just kind of flashy. It's like I have to assume that Garai is just standing there like, could you
You should pick it up. I'd like to
yeah,
murder you
it's
now.
yeah. So he henshins and he transforms and they fight. They fight.
And they
Um
fight.
Kana attempts to escape. I want to see the behind the scenes for this shot because I have to assume it's just like 30 people underneath this platform operating hand puppets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
is.
Because she's being
apparently they had
lowered
a
in.
apparently they had a conductor, by the way. I've
Oh,
heard
that's good.
I've heard it was hilarious to watch, where there was actually like a guy like directing all the puppeteers.
Yeah, because she's being lowered in a cage to essentially this pit with all these grabby mouths and like worms and such. And it's very clear that they are like about 100 hand puppets. So there had to have been a raised platform where just like 50 people from the crew are just down there going, "Nah."
So I don't know how you felt, but from a child's perspective, I thought that these critters were done really well. Like,
Yes.
I thought these were legitimately frightening from a child's perspective. I thought the way that they're lit in particular was very tasteful and well executed, where you very seldom get like a full on clear view of what they look like. You just get this like nice little light outline on them, and they're all gooey. So like when the face hugger one comes out, where it's all just spindly limbs. It's just you just see shimmers of light kind of like glossing along the edge of the like the chitin or whatever on its exterior. And then like every once in a while you'll get like a pretty clear and explicit view of one of them where like there's that bit where she's in this cage, by the way. And so all these mouths are like trying to nip at her, and they're below her, and like this mangled face like chews through like the fleshy exterior of the cage and just like invades her space. And it's one of the only creatures that you actually see like a little bit of what it like the detail of what it looks like. It looks like a melted face. It's pretty gnarly. And just the extent to which they push this, like how close they get to getting her and how long this drags out for is pretty intense for a child. Because like the floor gives out of the cage at one point. She has to like climb on top of it. This is the equivalent of I can't speak for Japanese cinema, but American children's cinema, this is the equivalent of quicksand.
Yeah.
Quicksand was the scariest fucking thing for any child of the 80s and 90s. Like,
What what I was thinking of in the scene is Marion with the snakes and Raiders.
mhm, very much
Yeah,
so.
like Andy, the torch is going out.
Yeah, yeah, even the intensity of the cuts, like how we're moving around that space and like showing Indy trying to solve the problem, Marion just trying to survive. Like it's very similar to that actually. Good Paul, good poll. Um,
Yeah,
by the way, Godai has a lightsaber.
he has a lightsaber, and
He just has a lightsaber.
it is very much like fighting under the platform in Return of the Jedi because he's like swinging up and it's hitting the different support beams and that sort of thing. Is this the No, it's not quite yet because there's a few more stanzas to the fight because there's the lightsaber bit and he's swinging it around, and then they get back onto the same center of the set because again we only have one set, we only have the one, we can only use the one set. um Garai summons a Tremors graboid mouth using a pretty slick looking digital effect. He like brings his hand out and it comes up in like a digital bubble and it fires out and it forms a graboid mouth and it pins Jay to the wall. And Jay manages to break free and he does the rider kick while saying rider kick.
Like you do.
As he does, he announces the move and kicks Garai back onto like an altar piece, and Garai expires.
Yeah, he shoots a bunch of steam, a bunch of fog, if you will, out of his
Yeah,
midsection. Um, by the way, this lightsaber it's the diet right of lightsabers. This is the
yeah.
economy version of lightsabers because it's essentially a fluorescent tube with a handle. It is not an optical effect. There's no
No.
rotoscoping or anything like that. It's just a light, so it's a lightsaber.
Well, that's the thing is like I mean it's how they
It
did it
looks
back.
it looks nifty too, by the way.
It does. Have you heard how they did the original lightsaber effect at first?
The
Like
original one, no, actually, I've never bothered to look into the original.
the original one is essentially, if I'm recalling correctly, and I believe there was some rotoscoping added. It is a handle. It's essentially a flashlight handle with a
Mhm.
motor in it. And there's a stick, a triangle shaped stick that has all of these. reflective tape on it that lights up when you hit it with even just a little bit of light. It's like roadside tape essentially. So
Okay.
they would turn it on, they would turn on the motor, and the motor would have a little wire that went down the costume, and it would rotate them really fast. So when you hit it with a light, it would shimmer, and it would give it kind of that, like, energy effect because it's spinning so quickly and it's different pieces of the reflective tape actually hitting it.
Wow.
So
That
it gives it a really unique look, and that's why the lightsabers look the way they do.
in A New Hope in particular.
Yeah.
Um, that's really interesting because I mean, I'm fortunate to have, watched like the pre-special edition versions of that one like pretty regularly when I was a kid. We had a VHS of it. I always remember there's a shot of Obi-Wan holding his lightsaber where he's fighting with Darth Vader or whatever, and he holds it so like the top of the beam is almost like pointed directly at the camera, and he kind of like just like touches Darth's lightsaber just a little bit with it. And from the top down angle, it looks so peculiar. Like it looks like super narrow. Like there's
Yeah.
no breadth to it or anything. And I always thought that was so strange looking because I've never gotten that look on a lightsaber before, but that explains why that looks that way, where it's probably a very narrow piece of material. And so from the top down, it doesn't look like much of anything other than just like a dot of light.
Yeah, it's an in-camera effect.
Very cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's really neat. I learned about that a handful of years ago, and I can't remember if it's, like, touched up at all or if that was like, "Okay, listen, when we were doing the stunts, we used something a little different." But it was like, I found that to be a very neat thing, and it was because somebody built it. They were like,
Yeah.
I wanna do it like how they did it. I wanna do the in-camera effect." Someone did a YouTube video on it, and it looks freaking cool. It looks so cool.
Yeah, no, I mean the lightsabers in A New Hope always had a very distinct look as opposed to any of the other ones. I want to say they definitely rotoscoped when Luke turns it on and off.
Yeah.
But like when they're actually swinging the things, I'm not so sure. By the way, I have not watched it, not even a little bit, but I've had to edit some videos on it. That Acolyte show. From some of the clips that I've seen, it looks like they harkened back to that a little bit of that look for the lightsabers in that show, where the beam is more narrow and has less of like a dramatic trail to it when it's being swung.
Hmm.
Interesting stylistic choice, because again, it's pretty much isolated to that one movie. Because even by like Empire Strikes Back, it's like no, we're doing like a big blue rotoscope vroom, vroom, vroom thing. Whereas in A New Hope, it's like it's more white. It doesn't have very much of a trail to it. Very different, very very different.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was our Star Wars moment. I mean, warranted though, because like Levi and I had both pointed out, the choreography and the staging of the swordplay in this sequence is very explicitly like Return of the Jedi. Just the lighting scheme in particular, and how there's like a covered area that they just happen to step into for just to play with the light. It's cheeky, but it's pretty well done. Like it's pretty neat, and the way they manage the pyrotechnics and stuff is pretty cool. But yeah, Garai is defeated via the rider kick, which, as I mentioned last week, you got to do a rider kick. It's just what you do. Um, so Jay goes to try to save Kana, and he jumps into an Akira style flesh pit.
I
Yeah. So as we mentioned, Fog Mother is kind of like biomechanical. Seems like on the inside it's mostly organic, and on the outside it's mechanical. Um, Jay jumps down into a pit that looks like an artery or something, and the the walls start closing in, and they're fleshy. And again, this is more like nightmare fuel for a child, where it's like the walls are closing in. This is Star Wars again, the the trash compartment, um, complete with Dianoga or Dianoga. There's a tentacle that grabs him at one point when he tries to jump out. And we're cutting back and forth between Kana being attacked by the little critters, and she's running out of space. Like she's now sitting on top of the cage. There's nowhere to hide. and Jay is trapped in this flesh column that's squeezing in on him.
It
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah, and I wrote, fight with wall?
Fight with Wall. I mean, the Wall is the stiffest competition he's had in this movie.
It
Is that
is.
damn Wall.
Well, and that's what I was shocked by, is that I'm like, "Wow, this wall is giving him more trouble than any of his other opponents." I feel that he is actually in danger with these, which I did not feel in the previous fights. Um, but yeah, so the spirit of Jay and Barry reach out to the earth spirits, and the earth spirits summon the spirits of the dead animals that Kana buried, among other things, just the earth and
The
nature,
Earth.
and
The Earth.
they all combine to create a flare that burns up all of the hand puppets and frees Jay and makes Jay into Jet Jaguar as he steps out and is now giant sized on the landscape. Am I missing something with that
No, no.
summary?
Unfortunately, no. You nailed it in one. So yeah, this is like just shy of the Care Bears looking directly into your soul and asking for you to beg Barry and Jay to come back to
Yeah.
life.
We
Um,
believe in Santa Christ.
we believe in Santa Christ. And it works, by the way. This is very reminiscent of again another Toei production for Dragon Ball Z, the Genki Dama, the Spirit Bomb. Goku draws a portion of all the energy on all the things of the earth to put it into a big ass ball to throw at somebody. It's kind of similar to that, except in this case, we're putting it into a big ass grasshopper man. So Jay gets big. Promise on the poster is delivered. You promised me big big J. Show me Big J. And we now have Big J. So
Big
Jay gets
J.
Big J.
Big Jim.
Big Jim. I mean, Big Jim directing a Kamen Rider movie or an
Yeah.
Ultraman movie?
I'd accept it.
He was supposed to do a Spider-Man. I would watch a Big Jim Spider-Man production.
Listen, man, I've seen the script for that one. I
Is
am
it
not so
gnarly?
sure about that one.
See, I haven't read the script. Is it real
It's
bad?
Dude, it's really weird because he makes the Spider-Man powers a um like a metaphor for puberty. So there's like Peter waking up to find to find his blanket like stuck to his body with webs. And you're
Oh.
like, Jesus
Oh.
Christ, Jim, no.
Big Jim, put it in your pants. I mean, I'm trying to think like Big Jim's tendencies. It's like, well, he likes mama bears. So it's like Aunt May like bust out an M60 and go to town on the
Yeah,
Green Goblin or something at the
dude,
end.
it's a weird script. Like it's because the thing is it just doesn't. It tries to, because the Sam Raimi films are very kind of aw shucks.
Yeah.
Like they're very much like that. It's like his Spider-Man script is kind of like Spider-Man, but the tone is like Donnie Darko. Like it kind of has like a bit of a weirder, more off-putting, like almost like angsty teens, and it's weird growing up, and like what do we do with this, and powers are a metaphor for social isolation and puberty, and you're like, what are we doing,
Sounds
here?
sounds very 90s. Sounds like a very 90s
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah, where Sam Raimi is very, again, it's very aw shucks, and it's very kind of fun.
Yeah.
This would not have been a fun movie.
Yeah, we I don't think we needed that one then. But by the way, when Levi and I say Big Jim, we are referring to James Cameron, also known as Big Jim.
Big Jim.
Big Jim. Big J uh, is he bursts out of Fog Mother via a really nifty like sparkle optical effect, beautifully rendered. Also like his how he materializes into his big form is really well done as well. And I like that they give a this whole sequence has a lot of love and care put into it to an extent that as I think Levi had mentioned, a lot of the other action beats in this one don't quite have the same clarity of vision to them, I guess. This one, because we're shooting with miniatures and because like every single facet of it is a difficult effect to achieve, I think they had to be more careful in how they presented it. You can't be haphazard in this kind of filmmaking. So again, this is the only time, to my knowledge, this has happened in the Kamen Rider like cosmology. Uh, and I just like that there's like a moment for it to breathe where it's like he got big. And then there's that bit where they show his foot like break the pavement and he just kind of stands there for a moment before he even starts walking and then there's no music even when he first starts walking. It's just like kind of breathing in the grandeur of the moment. And the set and the atmosphere of this segment is really well done. Like this is good kaiju filmmaking by any standard. So it's like if you're only going to do this the one time with Kamen Rider, they did it really, really well because like the sunset lighting and the use of smoke in the set really gives it like a really fascinating texture. It has a weightiness to it. Again, they're shooting in the kaiju style where like the frame rate has been adjusted for weight and like there's a cumbersome like laborious nature to the way they move. Um, yeah, Big J, he steps to Fog Mother, and by the way, he has like some looks like rotoscoped like birds flying around him. Apparently, that was like an alternative idea for how to achieve the transformation effect. Was like have a flock of birds like form his silhouette and then disperse, and then he's there or something. But symbolically, there's just that one wide shot of the Fog Mother surrounded by smog and smoke, and Kamen Rider J with a flock of birds around it. It's just nature versus, all you get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, Fog Mother goes Mecha Godzilla on his ass. Just Fog Mother has appendages, but they're all on wires and they're kind of flimsy. It has these little like claw thingies, like a bug kind of. Um, so Fog Mother achieves most of her combat through just bottle rockets. The Roman candles and bottle rockets, if we're being honest. Anyway, a very Mecha Godzilla like shoots a bunch of shit at Jay. I love that shot of him stepping through the wall of smoke, where it's like he's
Yes.
being shot at, and then there's just this flat shot of just it's just like, oh, I'm looking at smoke, and then this big figure steps into it and is like, wah! It's pretty cool. It's a nifty shot. And the way the music is edited into the sequence, there's a distinct ebb and flow between like a wrestling match, like when the bad guy is winning and when the good guy is winning. Like there's the bad guy music that plays during all like the pyrotechnics, and then when Jay gets an opening and starts throwing punches and stuff, then the Blade Runner theme kicks in.
Yeah.
At one point, he punches a hole into the Fog Mother to grab Kana, you see, because she's still in there.
That is one of the that's one of the effects that I'm like, we had about 5 minutes to do that one, didn't we? Like it looks because he reaches through Fog Mother into the space to grab her and pick her up. And it's such a strange looking shot, and the compositing is really strange on it. And all I could think was the shots from SpongeBob SquarePants where they have the cutout of a hand enter the frame, and it's just flat. It doesn't ever grip anything. It's just flat, and it will just take an object off
Oh
screen.
my! I don't think I've seen it. I've seen a bit of SpongeBob, but I've never seen that. But that sounds like a 1-to-1, honestly.
Yeah, it is a human hand, typically with like a navy uniform, like black dress uniform cuff that will come in, take something, with its hand still flat and takes it from the frame. And that's what happened.
That is what happened. Like straight up.
Um, it's really goofy, but the actual fight itself looks wonderful, and there's great effects with it. And then, of course, there's the all is lost, but then there's the power up moment where he makes the J with his hands again, and he like hacks off. He's doing the chop action. He's hacking off the limbs. There's kind of a fun moment, like, after he reaches in, he looks up and he's face to face with Fogmother, and Fogmother kinda gives, like, this really subtle mechanical smile and activates a lightning weapon that shoots directly into his face.
Yeah, it's
So
a
it's like the
splashy green lightning effect.
yeah, there's some nice give and take to it, and, it ends with another rider kick, which he does not declare,
No.
um, but due to his sheer weight and speed, the wind whipping past makes his foot glow like red hot, like as if it's coming through the atmosphere. And when he hits it, it shatters the faceplate on Fogmother, and she explodes.
Yeah, this is maybe one of the most monumental rider kicks ever delivered in the history of Kamen Rider. It's
It's pretty
pretty
cool.
fucking cool. Where
It's pretty cool.
he jumps straight up in the air and then it's rendered via miniatures as far as I can tell, like combination of suitmation effects and miniatures and just the smoke blowing by him and the rotoscoping they do for like the heat of re-entry forming on his foot and the POV shots of him descending towards the miniature fog mother uh prop. It's really well composed, really
Yeah.
like very well conceived and very well executed. I love that fog mother also has like a last ditch effort to defend herself where her face opens up and she shoots saw blades, table saw blades out of her eye. It's like did not see that coming, but before he lands the kick, he has to deflect those saw blades, which is pretty cool. Um, Also, the dolly shots on the like the all the dolly shots of this fight are just beautiful. Like they're just really well constructed, and the compositions are awesome. But yeah, Fogmother mostly blows up, and Jay shrinks. Bad move, Jay. And just when you think everything's okay, speaking of Big Jim, the monster comes back for one last go round. So just a random claw hand or something grabs Jay off of a cliff. Man, this guy falls off a lot of cliffs. And he gets pulled into a chamber within the Fog Mother, and the uh, the shots showcasing the core of the Fog Mother are very Alien Queen like, um, very well lit, very well conceived. But basically, there's this like cobra like creature embedded in the wall that I guess is supposed to serve as like the organic fleshy core of the fog. Sure. Anyway, she yanks him close to her, and she's not happy. She's like, "Yo, I'm gonna die, but if I gotta go down, I'm taking you with me." So he has a very brief confrontation with this alien creature. It's a really gnarly looking creature, by the way. Um, and he punches her so hard that the wall blows out. So it's like you punched her to death. Um, the whole fog mother explodes, and the way I wrote it in my notes is he Die Hard twos out of the explosion. Because there's that shot in Die Hard 2 when he hits the ejector seat in the plane and Bruce Willis's mug goes up into the camera and descends back into it. It's very
Yeah.
similar the way the shot is achieved. Yeah, Jay's okay. He's no longer big, but
Yeah.
he's okay.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit of Batman and Robin surfing away from the explosion,
God, I
sky
buried that
surfing
memory.
away.
That movie, man, like all roads lead to Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I
If you're from a certain age range, Batman and Robin just it touched you and it'll never go away.
just one little side note. I was listening to your guys' episode on 8 millimeter, and I was laughing so hard at the idea of Joel Schumacher's directing style of because on set George Clooney said that Schumacher directs just yelling through a megaphone at people like, "All right, so Mr. Freeze, Arnold, you're trying to kill Batman because you're sad about your wife. Bruce, you're sad about your parents and you have to fight Mr. Freeze. Action!"
Your
And
parents are dead. You're miserable. Action.
action! And yeah, 8 millimeter has all of this horrifying imagery, and the joke was made like, I hope he directed it the same way. Like, Nick, okay, Nick, you're seeing the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life. Action.
It's funny you mentioned Machine from 8 millimeter. The actor's name is Chris Bauer, I think. Very talented actor. I rewatched Thunderbolts, the MCU movie, just the other day, just for shits and giggles. I was doing stuff in the background. He's in it. And I was like, that's Machine. What's Machine doing in the Thunderbolts? Yeah, I didn't expect to see Machine here. But yeah, 8 millimeter. That wow, I don't remember how long ago that was, but we did a whole Nick Cage month, and we've done a decent amount of Joel Schumacher stuff. I know we had some other Schumacher episodes we were planning on doing, but never got around
Yeah.
to. I
He-
floated Phantom, and Kyle put the kibosh on that. He was like, I can't.
Yeah. Man, Schumacher is he was a wonderful filmmaker. He really was. I feel like his Batman movies really kind of color people's view of his filmmaking. And I think that's a shame because he was so damn good at what he did.
There was always something to any movie he made. There was always some sort of flavor, some sort of eccentricity, and a visual flair at the very least. There was always something. And for that, it's like I give him a lot of credit. Like he did Flatline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flatliners, Lost Boys.
Yeah. I mean, those two alone, it's like there's a lot of subtext that may as well just be text. And just from a visual standpoint, there's a lot of very interesting things being done here. There are choices being made, which is not something you can say for every director.
No.
Like Brett Ratner is always my go-to for a director that there are no choices. We shot some stuff. Maybe it's a movie. That Jackie Chan and that Chris Tucker guy, they're both pretty entertaining guys. I'll just let them do stuff.
Just roll. Just roll.
Just roll. Yeah. I think alleged bad person Brett Ratner. Not positive on that.
Yeah. We're not entirely sure about that.
Yeah. So yeah, Jay, he finds Kana, and she's okay. And then ending. We cut to a lovely pond with shimmering light on it. Beautiful day. There are ducks and birds. We saw a lot of dead ducks and birds earlier in the movie, so I guess it's implied that all is good now. The ducks and birds are no longer dead. Sure.
The defeat of the Fog Mother stopped the construction project?
Well, I'm sure those people in the center of the earth are really pissed where they're like, Jay, there's a lot of people that need to get punched. You haven't punched them. We didn't even know about the Fog Mother. Like, we were talking about the construction guys.
You've taken your eye off the ball.
Yeah, that would be how you would end this movie properly. He's like washing his face in the bathroom, and then he looks up in the mirror and he sees these two hooded people from the center of the earth. Like, you have things to do, Jay. People to kill. So we get some weird photos of Kana. Very weird, taking photos of a child at a lake. The world thanks Jay, I guess, and the camera just kind of pans over, and there's a berry. In my mind, this is not berry. In my mind, this is just a giant grasshopper thing. That is not berry. It's just of the same species. Maybe it doesn't speak. It merely nods. It gives a bat person nod.
It gives the Mr. Miyagi nod.
No freeze frame though.
Yeah.
No freeze frame. You deprived me of a freeze
If
frame.
we could freeze frame on the grasshopper not I might declare this movie better than Zoe, but they didn't.
Unfortunate, no freeze frame, but yeah,
Yeah.
it gives a Mr. Miyagi nod, and then theme song, uh, set to footage of Kamen Rider J driving around the mountainside. Um, Not quite as cool as Zoe because Zoe had the it didn't have the behind the scenes footage, but it did have the highlight reel to go with the motorcycle footage. But the theme song is a banger. So I'll give it that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's Kamen Rider J. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It's mostly spectacle for the sake of spectacle. It's pretty empty, honestly. Um, but for what it is, for what it seems to be like attempting to do, it doesn't seem to be reaching too far. Thankfully, like it's not overly
Ye
preachy. And in terms of like children's entertainment, it's like it it is all gas, no brakes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it functions. It does what it's supposed to. Yeah, it just doesn't it lacks the coherency of Zoe.
Mhm.
Despite being the same length and roughly the same pace, it lacks the coherent storytelling and the visual language of that film that make it such a tight product. It's just not it's not that it's thoughtless, it's that it feels like it lacks the hands of a director who is fully locked into the material. Like, when you say that it was like, wow, this was a really busy time in his career and he was doing all this other stuff, I can feel it. I can feel that just was not able to get his full attention, and it hurts the picture because I don't think it's just the demographic shift. It just feels like a lot less care went into it.
I think that's accurate too. Um, because one, he was very busy. Uh, two, I had read that a lot of the effects work, because apparently he got his start doing production design, but also doing some like rotoscope and like optical effects work and stuff. And the fella who did the opticals for this movie had been a pioneer of that technology in Japan. He worked on like the 1960s Godzilla movies, like Godzilla's like fire breath and King Ghidorah's like lightning breath. He was the guy who drew that stuff. And apparently, like Keita Amemiya like served under him in those departments or something. So he's very familiar with those technologies and their implementation. Apparently, he was not directly involved in that process for this movie. Apparently,
Hmm.
his attention had to be diverted elsewhere. So that was just like a lot of the effects work in this movie was just straight up handed off to other people. So this does feel like there's a lack of focus on the part of the director, which is kind of unfortunate. It doesn't help too that just from a production standpoint, it originated as a sequel and then was hastily like pivoted into something else. Doesn't help too that I mentioned last week that Zoe was I think the first Toei Bandai um production collaboration where like Bandai actually was involved in that film, like from a production standpoint. Um, so this is like 1 year into that arrangement, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bandai was like bearing down on them a little bit because this marks a very important transition period in the genre where things became more toyetic and things became more based around selling toys as opposed to telling stories. For like Super Sentai, that's oftentimes what drove me away from it. Is that it had a very predictable format of like, oh, we have the Megazord and then we have the next Megazord and they get new costumes or something. And if you look at it from an adult's perspective, it's like it's very transparently, it's like Transformers. We're killing the cast because we want to sell you new toys. Little did they know we had an emotional connection with that cast, and when
Yeah,
you took away my Peterbilt truck, I actually got really pissed about
yeah.
it.
When when you shoot Ironhide in the chest and see his eyes glow up and then grow faint and in pain smoke comes out and he falls over dead, it affects you a little bit.
Yeah, when you shoot the ambulance and he has hot chili breath, and when you blow Ironhide's head off, when you shoot him with a bazooka in the fucking face,
Yeah.
it has an emotional impact. Yes.
Like
Yes. But, from a business standpoint, it that was done to cycle the cast, to give us new toys to put on the shelves, because the show was meant to sell the toys. And in the case of tokusatsu, that that is the biggest barrier for me continuing to engage in this genre that I love so much, is that since around this time, since around like the 90s, um, that's what it has been. Like even Ultraman, like in the old days, like in the 1960s, the Ultraman show, he had his mitts and he would do this and he'd shoot a laser. That's kinda it. Like, he didn't have, like, a sword, he didn't have a staff, he didn't have armor or anything like that. He didn't have anything he was trying to sell you other than Ultraman. And Kamen Rider would follow suit in the years following this, where it's like, okay, now he has a I mean, prior to this, like Kamen Rider Black RX, it's like he's got a car, and he's got a bike, and he's got 3 different suits of armor and stuff like that. And like forevermore, that's what it's become. It's like he has all these gadgets, he has all these
yeah.
vehicles and stuff, and we're trying to sell the shit to the kids. It's like from an adult
Yeah,
standpoint, it's very frustrating.
I mean, there is something of mommy, mommy, I want the fog mother rolling tank.
Can I have the Fog Mother playset, please?
Can I have the fog mother playset? Can I
Yeah.
with its weird HR Geiger face and its spindly arms?
It's funny actually you mentioned that, because some of my earliest exposure to Keita Amemiya's work came in the form of toys, where I would go to like a card shop or something. I'd see like, how, like Todd McFarlane toys always have like
Yeah.
a quality to them that puts them over the top, as compared to your average Mattel or Trendmasters. Oh, that's a word I haven't said aloud in a while. Trendmaster, something like that, or Hasbro, I guess is the big one these days. Um, Keita Amemiya, like, had some toys that did, like, in small proportions, like, find their ways to our shores. So, like, Mirai Ninja, the Future Ninja, before I ever saw a frame of that movie or even knew it was a movie, I saw a toy of that character and I was like, "Holy shit, that looks fucking cool." And, like, same with Zeiram and, some other figures and stuff that exist of his works. But yeah, I have to assume his attention being diverted elsewhere, and Bandai probably bearing down on the production, being like, "We need this on this time, and we need this to have X number of monsters. We need J to get big. We promised Big J. We will deliver Big J." You can have an intervening movie so you can practice making Big J before you get to the main event. Because, by the way, that Kamen Rider versus Ultraman movie, that 10-minute short, does feature a big Kamen Rider. So I guess I
Yeah.
can take that back a little bit. Is that twice there have been 2 big riders. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jay, you're big and you're sad about your sister being dead. Action.
Your sister is dead. You're very big. Action. Okay. Well, I think that's all we have to say about Big
I
J.
I I think that's yeah, I think that's about it. I'm yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of this one. I didn't enjoy it as much as Zoe, but they can't all be winners.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to, is the other part of it. Like, because I don't enjoy this one as much either. But it's a nice companion piece. It demonstrates like these are two actually pretty similar things from the same guy that hit you very differently, which I think is fascinating. But next week we'll be talking about Hokkaido or Hokkaido, it's destroyer as far as I know. That one I'm very curious how that one's going to land for you because it's more dialogue heavy. It reaches further. Um, it's a weird one. It's very weird. It is no longer we're not dealing with Kamen Rider anymore. Instead, we're dealing with Kikaider, um, which I don't have as much to say about, so you won't be drowning in exposition for that. But it's very very different movie, and it's from the very next year. So we'll see how that one lands. But in the meantime, hey Levi, how about you let our listeners and or viewers know where they can find you and your awesome YouTube channel?
Well, you can find me over at Your Captain Speaking. I do talks about men's action fiction, so those little thin paperbacks that you maybe are familiar with characters like Conan or Elric or detective characters like Philip Marlowe. Um, the purpose of the channel is to talk about these characters and remind people that hey, you don't have to dive in if you want to get back into reading. It's not just like there's an in between total fluff reading and finally getting into reading Tolkien. Like, hey, would you like something that's fun and exciting that isn't going to take all your time? Every single James Bond book is less than 200 pages. Give them a read. You can knock it out in an afternoon. It's like I'm here to give people options and remind people that reading doesn't have to be scary and it doesn't have to just be self-help books and history books or nothing. It's yeah, I'm just encouraging people to read things that are exciting.
Yeah, I really enjoy the project, your Captain Speaking's channel, because it is one of those things that I think people often discount the value and the worth of cracking open a book and doing it for pleasure, doing it for as something that you enjoy and enrich yourself with. And I think just with all the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's oftentimes something that gets cast aside because you have this illusion of having no time for it. And it's like you said, 200 pages, like shit, you can do. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, check
Yeah.
out Levi's channel. It's fantastic. Anything else you wanted to say, bud?
Well, I mean, it's just the other I just on that note, it's like, yeah, I feel like people don't really know what's available to them. It's like people aren't aware of what's out there. It's like there was some clip of a it was some comedian and I can't remember the guy's name, but it was like he was doing crowd work and was asked what his three favorite books are, and he threw out two personal finance books and James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake as his three, which
What?
is insane. You're
The hell
like,
kind of
this is
person is that?
I'm like, who are you? Because I don't believe first of all, I don't think you've read Finnegan's Wake, or else you would have nothing nice to say about it. Yeah, it's like because that's the thing, is this is what you are hearing from people. It's like, yeah, two personal finance books and a tome that is intentionally written to be impenetrable.
That that sounds like a sleazebag answer. Like that sounds like a glib. Or it's just like I'm
Yeah.
just being snarky now,
Yeah, it's
not
like
genuine.
it's absurd. So it's like, yeah, I want people to know that there is more to fiction than giant tomes and self-help, because that seems to be the only thing that dudes read these days.
Yeah, I mean, I among my friends, it's like you don't often hear. I don't often hear people telling me about the thing that they've read recently. A lot of times, it's just nonfiction stuff, trying to get a grip on what's going on in the world, as opposed to like reading a thing like you would approach a movie or something. It's like I read that because I wanted to, not because like I felt there was a gap in my understanding of the world or something, but just because I want to read James Bond shooting people. It's like I want to read Conan cutting people. It's like I want to read something fun, you know. But yeah, definitely check out Levi's channel, especially that Zorro episode, which he didn't say it, so I'm going to say it. Very worth your time. Check it out. But as for myself, you already know what it's called. My podcast is called Catching Up on Cinema. It's available pretty much everywhere podcasts are found and on YouTube when I do stuff with Levi. And also, we try to do a monthly, at least, live stream called Tales from the Shelf, where we talk about our movie collections. So look forward to that on YouTube whenever we get to it, usually at the end of the month because obligations. That being said, thank you so much for listening and or watching, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
That is all for one.